Uttamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityaṁ Bhagavata-sevayā Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtahi Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripātamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatharinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Caitanya Ishwaram Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Namaha Pankajanaභāya Namaha Pankajamaline Namaha Pankajanitraya Namaste Pankajangriye Hare Kṛṣṇa Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear worshipful devotees, thank you so much for taking out your valuable time to read, hear, discuss Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam together. So we are at Canto 9, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, chapter 18, entitled King Yayāti Regains His Youth. And we were discussing that how first Yayāti goes to his eldest son, whose name was Yadu. Yadu said, "No, sorry, father, I can't exchange my youth with you." Two main reasons he gave. One was the Varnashram Dharma, and the other was the descent of Lord Krishna. The other three sons said, "No, we also don't want to exchange." And their reasons were based on adharma, because they were attached to this flickering youth. So now Yati goes to Puru and says, "My dear obedient child, you must know that the duty of the son is to obey the instructions of the father." So Puru basically said, by the glories of the father we were discussing. By the mercy of the father, one gets the human form of life. So in short, and that's where we read till text number 43. So let's move on to the next verse, 44. 43 was the glories of the father. Uttamas chintitam kuryat prokta karitu madhyamaha adhamo ashraddhaya kuryat akarato charitam pituhu. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. A son who acts by anticipating what his father wants him to do is first class. One who acts upon receiving his father's order is second class. And one who executes his father's order irreverently is third class. But a son who refuses his father's order is like father's stool. Purport: Puru, Yayati's last son, immediately accepted his father's proposal, for although he was the youngest, he was very qualified. Puru thought, "I should have accepted my father's proposal before he asked, but I did not. Therefore, I am not a first class son. I am second class son. But I do not wish to become the lowest type of the son, who is compared to his father's stool." One Indian poet has spoken of Putra and Mutra. Putra means son and Mutra means urine. Both a son and urine come from the same genitals. If the son is obedient, devotee of the Lord, he is called Putra, or a real son. Otherwise, he is not learned. If he is not learned and is not a devotee of Lord Krishna, the son is nothing better than urine. Hare Krishna. So very, very nice verse, and talks about four classes of people, or four kinds of people. And actually, I had heard this story, but I didn't know that there is like a direct verse which talks about these four classes of people. So the topmost is one who acts by anticipating the order. Like, the order has not been given, but they understand the heart of the guru. They understand the heart of the elders. They understand the heart of the senior devotees. And then they act as what the guru, sadhu, shastra, before even it's communicated, they know that and they execute it. So that's first class. Number two, one step lower, they act when they're given instructions. You do this, and then they do as it is, what is asked. This applies to son, daughter, disciple, in any way, any relationship between a father and the son, guru and the disciple, daughter and parents, children and teachers, every relationship. So that's second class. Number three, they act. So the order is given, instruction is given, they act, they do it, but irreverently. So let's go deeper in this word. What does irreverently mean? It says lacking or exhibiting a lack of reverence or disrespect. So basically they are doing it disrespectfully, like not with their heart, just somehow, just get it done. And he's a fool, he doesn't know what to say, but just get it done. Or they're critical. So then they're not doing from the heart, just it's a ritual, or the heart is not there, still doing it or thinking. Like sometimes in office relationships, it may be like that. We don't agree, we think it's the worst thing to do, but sometimes we have to do, or the things like that. So irreverently or disrespectfully, that's third class. And the last, who refuses, the father says something, guru says something, and they say no to the order of the guru, father, etc. That's compared here as stool of the father, ashraddha. So the word used is for the ashraddha, without faith. So the third class are the ones who are doing it without faith. So uttamas chintayan kuryat. Considering the father's idea, they act. Uttama chintanam. Sorry, chintitam. Let's go word to word. Very nice verse. Lot of practical lessons. Uttamas chintitam kuryat. They do chintan or meditation, or they think what my father would want me to do, what my guru would expect me to do in this situation, and they act it. And it's not whimsical. It's not speculation. It's by deep practice. Then prokta kari tu madhyamaha. Prokta basically is one who, when the father has given the order, and they do it. Prokta kari. Father says, do this. Okay. Adhamo ashraddhaya kuryat. Adham means lower. So lower than the madhyam is the one who acts without faith. And akarta, that means you don't act. Akarto charitam pitu. Uchcharitam. Like stool. Uchcharitam. So we can also reflect in our lives, what kind of disciple am I? I shared this story in the kids class also. Everyone liked it. And I shared this example with with the kids. Let's say the father comes home. The father must be tired. He has come from a long day of work. And you understanding the situation is for the kids. Go to the kitchen and get a glass of water for him or for your mother who has come for a long day after like grocery shopping or whatever. That's first class behavior. The father and mother didn't even tell, you could sense they are exhausted. That's first class behavior. Second class, they express it. My dear child, can you please get a glass of water for me? Okay, father, you must be tired. Let me get water. Second class. Third class, in the value education book, it is said that they do after multiple reminders. The father said, oh, can you please get a glass of water? And still busy with the phone, busy with the game, busy with their own stuff. And the father says after 5 minutes, hey, can you please get a glass of water? Still busy. And after 2-3 reminders, they may get it. So basically lack of faith. They're not really interested or in the following the instructions, but more interested in the game or something. And the children really like this. So number 3. Number 4, after repeated reminders also not interested, and basically that is worst. So at least we should be at number 2, right? Number 1 is very high, to understand the heart of the Guru, to understand. But if the more we do on number 2, the more we'll get closer to number 1. The more we'll be able to build trust, faith in the words of or in the instruction. If the more blessings will come, right? How will blessings come? And blessings will come when we sincerely serve our elders, senior devotees, Vaishnavas, parents, Guru. The more blessings will come, and the more we'll be able to understand, working with them, understanding their instructions, that the mood of Srila Prabhupada, the mood of Srila Prabhupada's movement, then we can, spontaneously come to first class. So before the instruction is given, like Hanuman, he would do what is asked, that's minimum, plus he would always do something more. And multiple examples are there that he was asked to get whereabouts of Mata Sita. But he did not only get that, he also got the whole estimate of Ravana's strength. He was told to get the Vaidya. He did not only got the Vaidya Sushena. When Lakshmana was Murchit, he got the whole home. And one devotee was saying, well, later we didn't want the Vaidya to say, I forgot my injection at home, I forgot the medicine. So if we got the whole home of Vaidya Sushena. So the what said, that's minimum, that's little extra. So, and one devotee was giving this point with the chanting also. So minimum is 16 rounds, but those who do minimum, it means that's somehow, okay, minimum, get it done. Okay, Prabhu just told to get this done. Okay, get this. That's somehow you're not 100% convinced. But those who are really sincere, they're not happy with the minimum. They want to do more than that. So we can do that for any service, chanting, service, or reading, hearing. So I think it's a very nice, and we can reflect and try to go from third class to second class and eventually become a first class student, disciple, son, or daughter. Any thoughts or comments here? This nice verse.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, Prabhuji, a very nice explanation. Prabhuji, so can we tell us in that you gave the example of Bhishma Dev? So, he's a first class, right? He anticipated his father's sorrowness, and he went, and even without his father's knowledge, he gave the Bhishma Shapata that he will not marry.
Yeah, that's a very good example as well. So many examples are there, and of course, all these great merchants. And his father did not tell him. You're absolutely right. If his father would have told, I'm thinking like this, will you accept? Then it would have come second class. So, very good example, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, anyone else wants to share some thoughts or reflections on this important verse? Okay, let's move on to the next verse. I see His Grace Sri Prabhu has also joined and Kandi Prabhu has also joined. So we are so blessed by our association, Prabhus. Thank you. And of course, all the regular members are also here. So thank you so much. So 45, anyone who didn't get chance yesterday wants to read first?
I can read Prabhuji. Hare Kṛṣṇa devotees, Dhanavad Pranam, all goes to Śrīla Prabhupada, text 45. Iti pramodita puru ratta granji granj jaram pitu swapi tat vashaya kaman jatha bhajujushe nripo. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. Shukdev Goswami said, in this way, O Maharaj Parikshit, the son named Puru was very pleased to accept the old age of his father, Yayāti, who took the youth of his son and enjoyed this material world as he required. Back to Prabhuji. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Very well, thank you, Prabhuji. So quite straightforward here. Puru had agreed. Although he was feeling, like, look at the greatness of Puru. He was feeling, alas, I'm not the first class. If my father has to ask for it, I'm already second class. But let me not further go from Uttama to I'm already at Madhyama. Let me not go to Adhama. And let me not be like stool-like. My father has vocally expressed it. I still have the chance to get the second class. So he agreed. And their youths were exchanged. So basically the father who was old because of the curse of Shukracharya turned in youthful, and the son Puru, who was youthful, turned old. Okay. Yes, Sridhama Prabhu, you want to read?
Sorry, Prabhu, can you say that again?
Yes, would you like to read a verse?
46, right? Or
yes, please.
Saptadvipa pati samya pitravat palayan praja yato pajosam visayan jujuse vyaha atrendriya. You want me to read the translation, Prabhu?
Sure, please, Prabhuji.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada, all goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thereafter, King Yayāti became the ruler of the entire world, consisting of 7 islands, and ruled the citizen exactly like a father. Because he had taken the youth of his son, his senses were unimpaired, and he enjoyed as much material happiness as he desired.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. You have any comments? Thank you so much for reading this verse. Okay, anyone remembers what are the 7 islands we are referring to here?
Prabhu, I don't think we read that which 7 islands this is referring, but it could be Jambudvipa and other islands. I may be wrong, so you can tell me the verse in which we read which 7 islands.
We didn't read specifically here, but this whole pastime is happening in the Bhumandala. So, whenever there is mention about 7 islands, it is
Jambudvipa and Shalmalidvipa and those islands.
Correct. Something to
Ketumala Varsha and all those.
To share a picture with everyone so we can quickly go through that as well. So the point here is that now he had regained his youth, and his main agenda was to enjoy And I just shared this picture so you all can have a look. I'm going to share my screen now. So this is the Bhagavad cosmology reference. So Jambudvip, and then there is the saltwater ocean, then Palakshadvip, sugar water, sugar cane juice ocean, Salmali Dvip, liquor ocean, Kushadvip, clarified butter, Karu, Krauncha Dvip, milk ocean, Shaka Dvip, emulsified yogurt, Pushkara, then sweet drinking water ocean, and then the golden land, and then Loka mountains, and then Aloka Varsha. Aloka means there is no people residing there, or there is no, because it's kind of dark. The sun's rays don't go there because the Loka mountains cover that from, so sun rays can't go there because Loka mountains are very tall. And this is the mention. We have discussed this in great detail in Canto 5. It's very hard to remember or even understand this, but these references, pictures really help. And the dimensions are also mentioned here in the million yojanas. So million yojana means 1 yojana is 8 miles. So this is 500 million yojanas. This disk, it's in the center of the universe, we can say, one universe. Okay, just to give some reference of those 7 the oceans. So let's see what happened when he was enjoying the senses and ruling the entire world practically. Yes, 47. Thank you, Śrī Mahāprabhu. Lakshay, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Devayani api anudinam manovaldeha vastubir prayasa paramam kritim uvaha prayasiraha. Translation: in secluded places, engaging his mind, words, body, and various paraphernalia, Devayani, the dear wife of Maharaj Yayāti, always brought her husband the greatest possible transcendental bliss. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Prabhuji.
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Thank you, Prabhu. So this was the plan. Devyani also had those desires, and Yayāti also wanted to enjoy. So they enjoyed so-called happiness. But Brahma has given this tiny pleasure, which is very fickle, and which we'll see actually. Whether it's the story of Karda Muni and Devahuti, which they also developed a celestial plane, if we recall, in the Canto 3, I believe, Karda Muni and Devahuti story. They had a celestial plane, just imagine, like a flying mansion. And they also went to unlimited places for the so-called enjoyment. But ultimately, the real enjoyment came when they engaged in unalloyed bhakti. When Devahuti attained instructions from his great son Kapila Dev, or Lord Kapila. So the pleasure of the material world is called Jad Ananda, and that is very, very low. Tuchha Sukha, as Prahlad Maharaj says. The pleasure of impersonal Brahman merging is called Brahmananda. The pleasure of going back home, back to Godhead, and engaging in the unalloyed service is the topmost, millions and millions of times more. In fact, it is not even right to even compare that with the so-called pleasure of this world, because it is the so-called pleasure of this world is actually a cause of misery, as per Bhagavad Gita 5:22. Yehi sansvarshaja bhogan dukkha yoni evati. Dukkha ki yoni. It's a cause of dukkha. Na teshu ramate. Intelligent people don't dwell in that. So, and we will see that in how, whether it's the story of Chitraketu, whether it's the story of Avanti Brahman, whether it's the story of here Yayāti. No one has attained happiness by sense gratification, and which will be soon unveiled. So let's read text number 48. Anyone has any comments before that?
Yeah, one question. So why does it say, in that case, why does it say transcendental bliss? Because they're enjoying the material senses, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the point is to understand the context here, the greatest possible, it's not the spiritual, of course, we cannot, this is not the spiritual thing. But in the material world, the so-called pleasure derived from this, the union of male and female is the highest. As per Shastra. The so-called pleasure. So let's understand not the letter, but the context. So let's try to understand the context here. So the context is, and which will be soon unveiled. So therefore, it's as we read a few verses here, or maybe it will come in the next chapter. I'm not sure. Maybe in the next chapter it will come that how Yayāti was not happy, right? How these so-called pleasures, and it will share a story about a goat and everything. So if it was really, okay, if for a moment, if it was really transcendental bliss, then why would it lead to guilt, right? Why would it lead to sadness? So which tells, because spiritual bliss does not lead to guilt. It leads to ever-increasing joy. When we serve nicely, when we feel happy serving devotees, do we feel guilty or we feel happy inside our heart, right? So that's real transcendental bliss. To serve Vaishnavas, to chant and dance in the Kirtan, we have real joy. Even the body may be tired, but we are happy inside. That's real bliss. But if it's transcendental bliss, then why there is guilt? Why there is kind of sadness? Any other thoughts or additions here? Okay, is that okay, Raghu Prabhu? Does that help? Or
Thank you.
thank you, Prabhu. Okay, anyone else wants to read who hasn't got a chance? Swati Mataji, want to read?
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Then Pranam. Text 48. Hayajat yatna purusham kartubir puri dakshinai sarvadevamayam devam sarvavedamayam harim. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupada. King Yayāti performed various sacrifices in which he offered abundant gifts to the Brahmanas to satisfy the Supreme Lord Hari, who is the reservoir of all demigods and the object of all Vedic knowledge. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Thank you.
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Thank you, Mataji. So he did yagyas also. He offered gifts to brahmanas. So we see that this is a typical examples one devotee was sharing, that such personalities, kind of similar to demigods, they have desire to enjoy as well, not completely free from material desire. At the same time, they are engaging their propensities to serve the Lord. So we see at some places Prabhupada was mentioning King Yayāti as dharma gya, knower of dharma. And at some places, King Yayāti has been mentioned as lusty. And these same contexts are used for demigods also. For demons, they are totally opposite. Demons also have lust, anger, greed, but they never perform anything for the pleasure of Lord Hari. Pure devotees, they are bereft of any material desires. The demigods, sometime here, sometime there, but they remember God. So it's an important point. Yes, Nandini Mataji, want to add something?
Oh, I would like to read the next one if okay.
Sure, Mataji, please.
Dandavat Pranam devotees, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Reading from text 49. Yasminadam virachitam vyomniv jalada valihi naneva bhati na bhati sapna maya manoratha. The Supreme Lord Vasudeva, who created the cosmic manifestation, exhibits himself as all-pervading, like the sky that holds clouds. And when the creation is annihilated, everything enters into the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, and varieties are no longer manifested. Purport. As stated by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 7.19, Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mama prapadyate Vasudeva sarvam iti sa mahatma sildurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva is one with the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Absolute Truth, Brahman. Everything is in him in the beginning, and at the end, all manifestations enter into him. He is situated in everyone's heart, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivishta, and from him everything has emanated, Janmadiyasya Yatha. All material manifestations, however, are temporary. The word Swarupa means dreams, Maya means illusion, and Manoratha means mental creations. Dreams, illusions, and mental creations are temporary. Similarly, all material creation is temporary, but Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the eternal absolute truth. And we kind of change here the track of verses and the chapter here, but you will see the next, as soon as we read the next purport, this will be a very clear, like the sun. It will be as clear as sun. And not to go over the next verse, but what this is preluding to is that King Yayāti is getting, it says, it relates to King Yayāti as he's turning to the different side of this now. So this material lusty desires will be ending. So when the creation is annihilated verse, this part of the verse will be applicable right away. And all the varieties are no longer manifested. So they enjoyed in varieties of ways, and that will be not joyous. I mean, those varieties will stop, and one's focus will come in their life of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Also here, Prabhupada writes nicely about dreams, illusion, and manoratha. So, Yayāti and Devayani, they were kind of in illusion that they were so much after material enjoyment. They had probably so many dreams, and so I feel that this is how this verse is connected with the rest of the chapter. But please correct me, Prabhu, if I spoke anything wrong. Hare Krishna, back to you. Thank you very much. Nice class, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji, for such nice connection and sharing your reflections. Bhagavad Gita also mentions in chapter 9, text 30, that although a person may commit something wrong, a mistake, but if one is situated in the path of bhakti, one will soon come back to track. And we will see that. Here we do see that Yayāti had lusty desires. Therefore, he was like asking one son after the other, hey, please give me your youth. Hey, please give me your youth. And he was running after, we saw that he was running after Devyani. Don't tell your father, otherwise he'll curse me. But Bhagavad Gita says, Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati konteya prati janehi name bhakta pranashyati. My devotee, sorry, I said a wrong connection. Api cheta suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhakt. So durachara, the person may have done bad act. Durachara. Bhajate mam ananya, but still worshipping me. As we see, Yayāti is certainly worshipping. By different acts, he is very cognizant that Supreme Lord Hari is the reservoir of all the demigods and the object of all the knowledge. So Vedishcha sarve ahamiva vedya. So he's knowing the fact very, very well. And he's ruling the entire world. And ruling in a very good way. Like the citizens, exactly like a father, like a caretaker, not like a Ravana exploiter. So he's doing his material duties. Yes, he is enjoying so-called material sense gratification, but he is doing the yagyas also, which is so very soon. Sadhu reva samantave. Krishna says, I consider that person as sadhu. Samyak vyavastito hisa, and he will be he will not fall. For Krishna considers him, that person is a sadhu. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. That Krishna is saying in 9.30. So, and we will see that more and more, but a lot of lessons in this chapter to learn. Any other comments, thoughts, reflections anyone has? Okay, let's read text number 50. Anyone who hasn't got a chance wants to read?
Prabhuji, can I?
Yeah, you can't throw, please read.
Text 50. Tam eva hrida vinyasya vasudevam guhasyam narayanam aniyamsam nirasir ayajat prabhum. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Without material desires, Maharaja Yayāti worshipped the Supreme Lord who is situated in everyone's heart as Narayan and is invisible to material eyes, although existing everywhere.
Purport.
King Yayāti, although eternal, seeming every form of material enjoyment was eternally thinking of becoming an eternal servant of the Lord.
Eternal servant of the Lord. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Canto and Chika, for reading this nice verse. So, as I think we discussed this point, that yes, he was fond of material attachment, but his heart was, thinking about Krishna. So, quite deep point here that he was worshipping the Supreme Lord. Here, now the context here is without material desires. Nira asha or anya bilashita shunyam. Quite synonyms here. Nirasha means, asha means desires, or abhilasha. Nirasha, without desires, without material desires. Anya bilashita shunyam. He was worshipping Ayajat Prabhu. Yaj means again worship. He was worshipping the Supreme Prabhu. And who is that Supreme Prabhu? Lord Śrī Krishna, Lord Śrī Hari, Lord Narayana. And this verse, invisible to materialize, although existing everywhere. So, Kunti Maharani also says that Maya Javani Kachannam Agya Dhokshajam Avyayam Na Lakshase Muda Drisha Nato Natya Dharuyata. Although he is present, Antar Bahir Avasthitam, he is present inside, outside, but he is not visible to materialize. How is he visible? Through the eyes of devotion. Premanja Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. Those who have eyes are anointed with the devotional service, with the ointment of love and devotion, then he will make oneself visible. So even though sometimes one is in the trap of material desires, as Bhagavatam also says, whether one has no desires or unlimited desires or desire for liberation, yet one should not stop one's bhakti. One should not feel, well, I have a lot of desires, then let me stop chanting or let me stop doing seva. It's like, yes, that's a disease. Material desires is a disease. Yes, we agree that it's a disease. It's not the healthy condition. But the disease will only get cured when we take the medicine of Krishna consciousness. If someone says, well, I'm so diseased that I can't even take the medicine, that doesn't sound right. The cleansing process will happen. It may take sometimes someone with has little fever will get cured faster. But if someone has a heavy disease like cancer, will take more time to cure. So we are all, please I can tell for myself, in different states of diseased condition. Someone's bhakti is 20% complete, so 80% disease is left. Someone's bhakti is 70% complete, so 30% disease is left. Someone is 99% complete, 1% disease is left. But we're all trying to be 100% pure devotees. That's our goal. Prabhupada said our mission is to develop pure devotees. So no matter whatever our state may be, even if we don't feel like, yet we should continue taking the medicine. We should never feel that I'm too diseased to take medicine. No one is too diseased to take the medicine. So the more we take, the healthier we'll get, the pure we'll get. And as we see in the case of Maharaj Yayāti also, he never forgot Krishna. He was remembering doing services, doing his kingdom as a service, ruling the kingdom and doing a lot of services to the Supreme Lord. So great lesson here. And let's read the last verse of this chapter. Yes, Babu Prabhu, want to read?
Evam varsha sahasrani manashastadir manasukam vidadano apina trapyat sharva bhauma kadindriyai. Translation. Although Maharaj Yayāti was the king of the entire world and he engaged his mind and five senses in enjoying material possession for 1000 years, he was unable to be satisfied. Purport: Kat Indriya or unpurified senses can be purified if one engages the senses and mind in Krishna consciousness. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam. One must be free from all designations. When one identifies himself with the material world, his senses are impure. But when one achieves spiritual realization and identifies himself as a servant of Lord, his senses are purified immediately. Engagement of purified senses in the service of the Lord is called bhakti. Rishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchyate. One may enjoy the senses for many thousands of years, but unless one purifies the senses, one cannot be happy. Hare Kṛṣṇa Prabhu. Here, all the senses we have to know, focus on Krishna consciousness. Even if you enjoy your senses in this materialistic world for 1,000 years, you cannot be the happy person. So that is the message from this particular.
Thank you so much, bro. I think this verse answers Raghu Prabhu's question. If it was transcendental bliss, then he would not be unable to be satisfied, right? He was engaged in enjoying material possessions, very, very clear, wealth, prestige, sense gratification, wives, etc. From the five senses, the eyes, the nose, the tongue, the ears, the touch, etc. Senses are very wild. And the more we try to enjoy them materially, the more they will be dissatisfied. It's like adding fuel to the fire. The volcano or the fire of desires will continue to grow. So what is the formula? To say no to the material and say yes to the spiritual, like Amrish Maharaj. Savai mana Krishna padaravindayo vacham sivaikuntha gunanuvarmane karo harira mandira marjina disho shrutim chakar achyuta satkathodaye grihanam chatad pada saroja saurabhe. Engaging the nose and smelling the tulasi offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. Engaging the ears in hearing Krishna Katha. Engaging the mouth in speaking about Krishna, chanting the holy name. Shiro Padav Rishikesha, to engage the head in bowing down to the Vaishnavas, in bowing down to the deities, to engage the hands, Karo Harira Mandira Marjanadishu, to do the temple cleaning, cooking, so many services we can use our hands with, and using the eyes to take darshana of the Supreme Lord. So in that way, we can tame these wild senses by engaging in higher taste of Krishna consciousness, as Prabhupada is mentioning. Rishikena. Rishikena means Rishikena, engaging the senses in the master of the senses, in the service of the master of the senses. And who is that? Rishikesha. The master of all the senses is Lord Krishna. So, Sevanam Bhakti Uchyate, this is bhakti. And then one will be happy. And in that, one may enjoy the senses for many thousand years with purified senses. Eternally, one is serving the pure, unallied devotees are serving the spiritual world eternally. And they're always happy. And the ananda keeps growing. But in material world, thousands of years, just think about, he had already enjoyed a lot. Then he got cursed, turned old, and now he enjoyed for 1,000 more years. Still not happy. 1,000 years, still not happy. And time passes fast, right? Time is limited, human life is limited. So choice is ours, whether Bhagavatam is teaching, so we can learn from these examples that, because first class student learns by hearing. It's another classification of different classes of students. First class sees or hears others or shastras and then say, Baba, I don't have to do it because that person smoking cigarette got cancer, drinking liquor, got cancer, I won't do it, right? Second class, they won't say, they don't believe in hearing. Pratyaksha Brahma. They believe in direct experience. They don't learn through others' experience. They want to experience themselves. So they will experience maybe, like sometimes people, they smoke for some time, then they get health, disease and stuff, and then they give up smoking. But sometimes life may not give a second chance. Sometimes it's too late. Sometimes the precious time is lost. So it's not the best type of learning, but better late than never. Second kind of learning, that they see others, they still don't learn, they try to follow their own mind and senses and then learn a lesson. But they say experience is a great teacher and fools learn through experience. So it's better to learn through others' experience, because life is too short to learn through everything through our own experience. And the third class, they will see others, they will do wrong, but they are sthita pragya, they will not change. And they will continue to do. So some people, they get a cancer, but they still don't give up smoking, or they don't give up liquor or bad habits, which have caused them deadly diseases, right? So this is another type of classification of the different types of students. So let's do a quick summary of this chapter. King Yayāti regains his youth, and we can do a quick summary. So basically, this is the dynasty of Nahusha. And Nahusha, in chapter 17, we discuss about the other 5 children of Ayu, and Nahusha was the first or the eldest one. So Nahusha was given a weird
I
kind
don't
of...
think we did text 51. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think we just read that. Babu Prabhu just read, Mataji. That was the last one.
Sorry. Yeah, I was on okay, thank you.
And we were discussing that he was not happy after thousands of years of enjoying the senses. He was not happy. So we covered that point. Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So back to a quick summary. So Nahusha had 6 sons. Yayāti was one of them. Yati basically retired. Yati did not want to get entangled. And then Yayāti was the next one. And then this whole chapter, we pretty much talk about Yayāti, who was the son of Nahusha. So Yayāti became the king because his father was cursed to become a python for his offense to Mata Sachi, the Indra's wife. And the other brothers ruled the 4 directions. So Yayāti married Devyani and the daughter of Shukracharya and Sarmishta. So, and then they ruled. But suddenly Parikshit Maharaj asked, well, Devyani was the daughter of a Brahmana. Yayāti is a king. How come this is called Pratiloma Vivaha? It is not the regular custom that a Kshatriya marrying a Brahmana daughter. So Anulom and Pratilom Vivaha are also discussed. And then this whole story begins that once upon a time, Devyani, the daughter of the sage Shukracharya, and Sarmishta, being the daughter of the king, Vishwaparva, they were, and along with thousands of friends of Sarmishta, they were wandering in palace garden with nice trees and fruits and bumblebees, so nice weather, nice water, and they were having some water sports. They were playing there and bathing there and having some agala time, picnic time there. And suddenly there was Lord Shiva passing through with Mata Parvati. And of course, when they saw, they covered their bodies. They want to cover their bodies in a hurry. The exchange of clothes happened. So Sarmishta, unknowingly, the word is important there, unknowingly, she wore the dress of Devyani. So the daughter of King Vishwaparva wore the dress of Devyani, the daughter of Shukracharya. Now, small act It's a great lesson that we should not pick fights with small things, and that too unknowingly. Communication, I've shared a nice lecture by Nityaṁ and Rukmini Mataji. So very, very nice practical lessons they share about communication and not assuming, not to make small things big. Because Kali Yuga anyways is a age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So we should try to move on. Okay, you want my clothes, that's fine. Be careful, don't do this next time. I don't like it. Just telling I feel bad, expressing our feeling rather than judging others' character. We should express our feelings in a very constructive way. As His Grace Shaman Prabhu said, that don't raise the voice, raise the ideas. Raising the voice never helps. But Devyani maybe didn't like the idea. She rebuked, she was mad, she was basically said harsh words. Oh, just see the actions of a servant, like servant mind, like Sarmishta, and you dare to put my dress like a dog, snatching the ghee meant for sacrifice. So Brahmanas do sacrifice using ghee, and the dog taking. So basically she's called dog to Devyani. And Devyani, Kshatriya blood, very hot. How dare you call me dog? You are like a crow. You're like a beggar. We sustain you. So tit for tat. They did not tolerate that. Tit for tat. Both of them short-tempered, both of them from the mental fight to a verbal fight now. But Devyani and Sarmishta are accusing each other. And then finally, Sarmishta, being Kshatriya, now comes to a physical fight through Devyani in the well. And then what happens? The king, Yayāti, was passing. He sees Devyani, and then they kind of love at first sight or lust at first sight, whatever we may call here. And there is a story of Kacha also. So Devyani tells, basically it's Providence arrangement that Yayāti, you have to marry me because it is the will of the Providence. And so basically King Yayāti also agreed, although this was a Pratilom Vivah. And finally there were some conditions made. So Devyani tells this whole story to his father, Shukracharya. And Shukracharya goes to Vishwaparva and says he didn't like his profession of priesthood and actually glorified Uncha-vritti, which is like a bird, to not be dependent on others for sustenance, but rather depend on the Supreme Lord. So, and we also discussed that Shukracharya was attached. He did not ask the question, well, Devyani, did you also do anything wrong? It's because, and we discussed these points in great detail while we were, so I'm not going in all detail, that we should not just be biased towards one side, that my son is always right or my daughter is always right and the other person's is wrong. Often in arguments or a fight or anything or in a conflict, it's not that there's 100% mistake is on one side. But when we hear one side of the story, that person will share as if all the mistake is on the other party. I'm pure. I'm pure devotee. I didn't do anything wrong. Everything that person did wrong. Or maybe say 90% his mistake, 10. But generally it's close to 50-50 or 60-40. It's never 100-0. So, because if one person is great soul, then the fight cannot move forward. If one of them would have calmed down and tolerated, the fight would have not reached the extremes it went. Okay. So, two conditions were mainly made that Sarmishta and the other girlfriends would become the maidservants of Devyani when Devyani gets married to Yayāti. And not only that, Sarmishta should not get close, or rather, Shukracharya told Yayāti that don't get close to Sarmishta. These two conditions were made. Basically, don't have a child through Sarmishta. But time passed by, Devyani got some children. Sarmishta also developed desire to have children. So from Devyani and Devyani, two children were born, Yadu and Turvasu. And from Sarmishta, Druyu, Anu, and Puru. So 5 sons were born. And guess what? Devyani got to know. Well, these children are Sarmishta's children. Back to father. Daddy, you know what happened? Shukracharya, she basically complained. And at that time, Yayāti is being told as a henpecked husband, falling at the feet of Devyani. No, don't tell to your father, problems will happen. But nonetheless, she tells everything. And Shukracharya, again being angry, says, well, you will lose all your youth and become old and invalid. And this, Baba, this is going to be a big problem. And your daughter also will, her lusty desires will also not be fulfilled. So that's not good. And please tell some solution. Okay, one condition, if any of your sons would exchange their youth for you, with you, then you can become youthful again. So that was the concession given after the curse. Yayāti asked his eldest son Yadu. Yadu said no, but his saying no was based on dharma. 2 reasons we discussed. One was varnashrama dharma, that life is meant for self-realization, and self-realization is not an overnight activity. It takes time, it takes gradual progress from the different stages of the varnashrama dharma, brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyas. So one should not miss that chance. And the higher purpose that Lord Krishna had to appear in Yadukul. So this is the same Yadu who said no to the request of Yayāti. Krishna will appear. Finally, Yayāti, next son, Durvashu, no. Duryu, no. Anu, no. All 3 said no, and their saying no is basically said adharma. Then we discussed this point of Puru agreed, and the 4 classes of son. Uttamas chintitam kuryat, uttamas chintitam kuryat, proktakari tu madhyamaha, adhamo ashraddhaya kuryat, akrato uchritham pituhu. Top class, understanding the mind of the guru, mind of the father, elders, and does without even being told. Next class, number 2, the guru, the father says something, please do it. And the son says, yes, sir, I will do it. 3rd class, they do it, but ashraddha, without faith, unreverential, or with disrespect, without faith. And the last, they don't do it. They are like stool, putra, mutra. So finally, Puru is now old. Yayāti is back to youth. He goes to many places, rules the kingdom for a long time, enjoys with Devyani, so-called material happiness, but at the same time, he has not forgotten about the Supreme Lord. That's a very nice point. We connected to Bhagavad Gita 9:30. And then finally, he is dissatisfied, and this chapter ends there. He was worshipping the Supreme Lord. He was not happy. He was not satisfied because, as Bhagavad Gita says, the material sense gratification or material desires or material things will never give one true happiness. This is a quick summary. This is a very nice story. A lot of practical lessons to learn about relationships, about being a good son, good disciple, about lust, about relationships, about a lot of factors are there. So I'll pause here. It's already a little over time. Any last comments before we pause? So not to forget, tomorrow morning is a very special session on the day of Indira Ekadashi. We have studied in Bhagavad Gita 6 chapters. So tomorrow, His Grace Gauranga Prabhu is going to summarize. And generally the time is 9 a.m. But because of his schedule, we have moved it to 8:30, just 30 minutes earlier than the regular schedule. So please encourage everyone and please join and encourage others also to join. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīpad ki jai, Samveta Gaura Bhakti ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitana pavani Vaishnava. Thank you so much. Very Bol.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you. Dandavats.
Hare Krishna.